Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today, the IAEA Board of Governors held a special meeting to consider the agency undertaking monitoring and verification of measures to be implemented by Iran in relation to the Joint Plan of Action. The board expressed its full support and gave its endorsement. This reflected the strong support among IAEA member states for a peaceful solution to the Iran nuclear issue. The Joint Plan of Action is aimed at achieving, I quote, a mutually agreed long-term comprehensive solution that would ensure Iran's nuclear program will be exclusively peaceful, end of quote. This is an important and encouraging development after several years of little or no progress. The implications for the agency are quite far-reaching. There will be much more work and more trouble for safeguard staff dealing with Iran. In fact, we will need to nearly double the staff resources devoted to verification in Iran. IAEA inspectors will visit additional locations, install more safeguard equipment, and analyze more samples. I know that our highly professional safeguard staff will be more than equal to the challenge. I have asked our member states for additional extra budgetary contributions, and I'm grateful for the pledges of support made in the board. In undertaking this additional work, it goes without saying that the agency will continue to act independently in accordance with its statute. As I told the board, I believe this new phase of work in Iran will be a further important step towards achieving a comprehensive solution to the Iran nuclear issue, but there is still a long way to go. Before concluding, I would like to inform you that IAEA is implementing the framework for cooperation, which we agreed with Iran in November last year. Another meeting with Iran will take place in February, and I will report on developments to the March Board of Governors meeting. I hope that all of the work undertaken by the agency will provide an important contribution to resolving this important issue and will lead to further positive developments. I will now be happy to take your questions.
Can I just remind you, please, when you ask a question, to introduce yourself and your news organisation before putting the question.
George John, the Associated Press. Director General, were there concrete amounts pledged today, and if so, how much?
Some of the member states mentioned the amount, but many member states refer to an appropriate contribution. So it is a bit too early to indicate how much contribution we will receive. But I am very encouraged that a number of countries made their intention to contribute during the board, and many others are considering.
I'm Nordin Fridi from Al Arabiya News Channel, Mr. Director General. I have a general question regarding the possible military dimension of the Iran nuclear program, which has been mentioned many times in your reports. How many weeks you need to clarify this assumption? And I have another small question. It's about the number of the experts that you have today. And
Excuse me, I couldn't hear you well.
The number of the experts that
yes.
you need to verify and to do the job in Iran, the number you have today and the number you need, because you said you need to double the staff resources. Thank you.
The first question is about the issues with possible military dimension. In fact, resolving all the issues related to Iran, past and present, is the objective of the joint plan of action and framework for cooperation signed between IAEA and Iran. On the IAEA and Iran path, we have been working on addressing the 6 practical measures that we have agreed, and we are going to meet again early February. In the coming meeting in February, we will review the implementation of the measures that we have already agreed, 6 practical measures, and we'll discuss the measures to be followed after the first step, and that should include the issues related to possible military dimension. Regarding the stuff needed for the inspection for this additional work in response to the measures set up in the joint plan of action, we think that we need to double our efforts. It means that we have to send more inspectors, we need more staff to analyze, and supporting staff. Some media reports refer to hundreds of inspectors or staff, but that is not the order of people that we are considering. I cannot say how many, but we have to double staff and efforts. That will not be hundreds, but some tens, a few tens.
Jonathan Tyrone with Bloomberg News. Thank you, Mr. Amano. The P5+1 in Iran set a goal of concluding a comprehensive agreement within the year. And you, of course, say that it's still a long way away.
Yes.
So the question is it also possible to resolve the PMD issues within a year along with the comprehensive agreement? And maybe you can just give a little bit of an idea of what a long way to go actually means and why you use that word, those words.
The priority and focus for now is to implement the joint plan of action and the measures agreed under the framework for cooperation. Good implementation of the measures agreed in the joint plan of action and framework for cooperation will increase the confidence of international community. And I hope that this will lead to create a better environment to resolve all the present and past issues, including issues with possible military dimension. As we are now at the stage of implementing the measures agreed at the framework for cooperation and starting to implement and on our part monitor the measures agreed in joint plan of action, it is too early to say when and how long it will take to resolve all the outstanding issues, including issues with possible military dimension.
Just a quick follow-up, though. You have on the one scale the goal of having a comprehensive solution this year by the P5+1 in Iran, and then on the other end of the scale, you have a think tank like ISIS and David Albright who published that it could take up to 20 years. So, I mean, is a long way to go closer to 20 years, or is it closer to 1 year, or?
It will take quite a long time, but I cannot tell how long at this stage.
Fredrik from Reuters. Okay. Can you say when the agency will go to the Gachina mine, which is one of the 6 steps?
In the coming days.
In coming days?
Yes.
And can you also say how many people does the agency have in total now working on the Iran file?
It depends. We have the list, but the number of inspectors who are actually working on Iran issues vary depending on the time and needs. We also have other people who are working for the analysis, and there are also supporting staff. So it is difficult to say how many are working for Iran. But as I said, hundreds of inspectors is not, the order is completely different. Digit is different.
Nathaniel Vitran for Radio France International. You mentioned that a few countries already pledged to support the IAEA. Can you at least tell us which countries already make some kind of a pledge toward you?
There are some 10 countries, but I don't have a good recollection. I'm missing some of the names. It's quite implied for some of them. So I don't mention the names now, but there are some, quite a number of countries.
And among the P5+1?
I remember that UK, France, United States indicated among the P5+1. And there are many others outside the P5+1.
Hussein Abdurrahman, Al-Sharq Al-Awsat. Mr. Director General, if possible, I have 3 questions. First, about the office. Is the agency going to open an office in Tehran? Second, has any of the Gulf countries donated some money for the 6 million? And the third, it looks like there is 2 versions of the Geneva Agreement.
Could you raise voice? I have some difficulty.
Does your mic work? Did you get to a microphone maybe so we can hear more clearly?
Okay. Should I repeat or?
The first question is about office, and next is some contribution from some Gulf countries.
And the third is about it, as if there is 2 versions of the Geneva Agreement. Tehran is saying something, Washington is saying something different. Which one the agency is going to apply? Or you are going to according to what? For example, it's completely different about the centrifuges and things like that. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your questions. First, about the office. We are not considering to set up a permanent office in Iran. It is not our intention. But it may be possible that we will request a permission from Iran to set up a temporary office for logistic purpose for the accommodation mainly. And this type of temporary office is the practice of the agency, and we have such example in some countries. But it is temporary. It is to provide the logistical support. About the countries that among the names of countries among the Gulf countries to contribute, I don't have, I don't remember that there were any country. But it doesn't mean they are not considering. Today, I didn't hear from them. Last part, you said that your question is about the understanding of a joint plan of action. I will say that joint plan of action was agreed on the 24th of November 2013, and that document is clear. There are some technical elements that need to be clarified. but through the discussions among experts, we have a sufficient level of clarification on the joint plan of action, which was agreed on the 24th of November. So I would say that we have the joint plan of action agreed on the 24th of November, and we have good understanding on technical aspects of this document.
First, the gentleman behind you, and then
Sar Samini from BBC Persian Service, TV actually, sorry. The thing is, Iran has already said by its president that wants to approve the peaceful nature of its nuclear program in a quick manner, not to take years for clarification, and IAEA say it's clear. So are you, as IAEA, in a position to prove, if Iran cooperates, that Iran is actually peaceful with its nuclear program?
What we are doing is some our normal work under the Comprehensive Safeguard Agreement, and we are implementing the measures, practical measures, 6 practical measures agreed between Iran and the IAEA in the framework for cooperation, and we are going to monitor and verify the measures set up in the joint plan of action. So we are providing facts, and when we can verify, we monitor and verify that these measures are implemented, we will give the factual report to the member states. But it is not for us to estimate how long it will take. We are doing the tasks coming from the Comprehensive Safeguard Agreement, and we are monitoring the implementation of United Nations Security Council resolutions. We are implementing the measures agreed under the cooperation framework for cooperation, and now we are starting to monitor and verify the measures are set up in the joint plan of action. And we will report what we find, and we'll give a factual report. But speculating how long it will take is a bit difficult for us to say.
Ken Udaga from Kyoto News. And I have a question about the frequency of the visiting the facilities. And you mentioned that you will need nearly double the inquisition team in there, and also in frequency. And one of the main points in the joint plan of action is to suspend the enrichment of over 5% uranium. And the inspector needs to visit the 3 facilities in Natanz and Fordo. And how frequent will they visit the facility, and what is the difference than the before?
We cannot say how frequently, because it varies depending on the nature of the facility. In some facilities, we will visit on daily basis. And on other facilities, regarding other facilities, the frequency of visit will be less. But I can tell you, with these additional measures, the intensity of verification will be very high.
Thank you very much. My name is Kazuto Sasa from Japanese public TV station NHK. I just want to ask, your outlook of getting this 5.5 million euro from member states. Are you optimistic or about getting the money you need, money IAEA needs, or would it be possible that IAEA cannot get enough money, and it could cause some setback to the work?
Today, we had a Board of Governors meeting, and I felt strong support to the agency undertaking monitoring and verification in relation to the measures set up in Joint Plan of Action. And this is the first day of the endorsement of monitoring and verification. And already on the first day, we have had a number of countries expressing their intention to contribute. And some of them even mentioned the concrete amount. So the start is very encouraging. I think that other countries that are also considering the contribution will tell us their intention. The start is very good. That's what I can say.
Here, Raquel Gonzalez from Hispan TV. I have two questions. One is, when would you like to have the Tehran temporary office open, and if it would be settled in Tehran? And the second one is to clarify, when you refer that it's not hundreds, the figure that we are thinking about, you mean that it's much under that number, is it? Thank you.
First, we have not yet decided whether we will ask the permission from Iran to set up a temporary office. So the location is not yet in the air either. But we will not ask. The permanent office. That will be for sure, and we may ask the setting up of a temporary office, and the location is not yet decided, of course. And that is about the office. And there's a second question.
When you say that it won't
Oh,
be
how
hundreds,
number?
Is it much less?
Yes. So less.
You said some tens. didn't you?
Some tens, perhaps less than the people sitting on the table. Or much less, maybe. Oh. How to count?
And I was wondering whether the 6 million euros that this will cost, how big increase will that be in percentage terms compared to what you're spending now on inspections in Iran? I mean, how much more will this represent in budget terms? And a second question, if I may. I know it's just 5 days now since the implementation started, but can you say something about how it's going so far? Is the implementation thus far going well, would you say, in Iran?
First, 6 million for 6 months means it is actually doubling the expenses needed for the inspection that we are doing. So the nature of the work is a bit different. So I cannot tell you exactly that the number of inspectors or supporting staff will be doubled. But broadly speaking, the idea is to doubling the staff and other expenses. The implementation so far, I do not want to qualify it as good or bad, but our inspectors had very good job before starting, and we have provided the report as of 20th of January, and we are continuing, and we are doing our job.
take maybe one more? Yes, one last one.
Mr. Director General, I have a question about the long-term solution. It's a bit confused in my mind. Now we have 6 months, and we have the action plan. I have it as any one on the web. I find it on the website, etc. But about the long-term solution, is that the duration is because if when we see the action plan, it said have a specified long-term duration to be agreed upon, of course, between 5+1 and Iran. In your view, this long-term duration, is it 6 months? Is it forever? Just can you give us your idea based on your work? What is the long-term solution with Iran?
The time needed for the long-term solution? Yeah. We are now concentrating to monitor and verify the measures just agreed in November last year. So that is our focus. On negotiating the future measures between Iran and P5+1 is up to P5+1 and Iran, and we are not the party for this negotiation. So at this stage, we do not have the clear idea what would be the future development. I rather would like to concentrate on our work for today and in the coming months. It's difficult to say how long it will take and what will be the prospect. But today we had a very strong support for the activities of the agency, and I hope that the implementation of measures and robust monitoring will increase the confidence of the international community in Iran, and after that, we'll see.
Thank you very much, everybody.